All right, folks, Malkah Fleisher here, broadcasting from the heartland of Judea with the one and only Malkah Fleisher. Malkah, manishma.
How are you, Ishai? Good to be here on the couch with you.
Baruch Hashem, we are still fighting on so many fronts, and you were fighting in studio when you visited ILTV. What was that about?
Well, I did another debate. Some of you have seen some of my debates that I've been having, especially on ILTV. And what you're about to see is me discussing with a person who purports to be a Zionist pro-Israel person about the future of the state of Israel. And we come to very different conclusions about where we're headed, how, why. And it gets a little hairy there at the end. I won't lie. So if you want to see me get kind of mad, then definitely watch till the end. But I think it was a good discussion. We talk also about the Jews of Judea and Samaria.
That's us. That's right. That's us. There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
Proud resettlers returning to the land of Israel. But I pity the fool who starts up with Malkah Fleisher. So we're going to check out that debate on ILTV in just a second. Before we do, don't forget to build Israel together with us. BuildIsrael.com. It's so simple. I love this website name, BuildIsrael.com, or buymeacoffee.com/Ishai. Let's go to the videotape and check out Malkah's debate on ILTV.
It doesn't seem that Iran has moved at all towards agreeing, certainly not to hand over the nuclear dust and materials, certainly not to stop their missile production, and not to do anything about the proxies. So were you hoping that another round was going to begin?
I think that we're in a situation of like a marathon as opposed to a sprint. I think that we can all appreciate, after our experience with Iran, that they were very prepared for a war with Israel, that they were smart about it.
And the U.S.
And the U.S., 100%. And my understanding is that the regime is gloating right now and thinks that it has basically thwarted all the efforts of the United States and those of Israel, these two, one a global superpower and one a regional superpower. And so they don't feel, I'm not sure they're feeling this pressure, and I'm not sure economics is the thing that'll do it. To me, it seems that they have more ideological values than are necessary economic. But in terms of what Israel should do, as always, the first job of a country is to ensure the safety of its citizens, and Israel has to ensure that Iran is neutralized as a threat. Will this be as a result of one single more round of slamming them? I'm not sure. It may take longer than that. But I do know that Israel is going to have to continue to focus on Iran.
Malkah, I agree with you that economic pressure alone will not convince these jihadist maniacs. That's clear. But when your entire country is starving, there is a limit. I have seen in my career as a global journalist many horrible despotic regimes that seemed permanent. And to paraphrase what was once said about bankruptcy, it happens, the change when it happens at first slowly and then all of a sudden.
Well, Malkah, I want to go beyond Iran. You and I discussed just before the broadcast, I mean, both of us are security-minded Zionists who came to this country years ago to make this our home. We have a certain ideology. What I see happening in three different fronts: Gaza, where a ceasefire was imposed on Israel, we're not making decisions; Lebanon, where a ceasefire has been imposed on us and we're not making decisions; and Iran, where a ceasefire is imposed on us and we're not making decisions. Is this any way to be running a free, independent Jewish nation?
I mean, I could talk all day with you about where Israel should get to. I think that we are on our way there. Is it true that Israel is still very much forced to coordinate with outside sources? Yeah, it definitely is forced to coordinate.
Three fronts, the major fronts of the country. There's nothing.
And this is a big discussion inside Israel about how to become how to get past the stages in which we feel ourselves to be so dependent.
Stop taking
really
U.S. aid, maybe.
Right, yeah. Really to become independent and to create our own. All of our own military supplies, and to be able to do things on our own, to make our economy strong and to do all the things we need to do. I think that we are taking steps in that direction. I'm encouraged. But is it frustrating that it always feels like Israel has its hands tied behind its back? Definitely.
Well, let me ask you this. Is Israel become a banana republic, doing whatever is at the will of the United States? Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, and maybe in the future, Judea and Samaria.
I would disagree with the label, but can't really argue with the reality, except I don't think it's changeable. Israel's a country of 10 million people. Israel's a country whose policy in Judea and Samaria...
With one ally, one major ally. Yeah.
Well, and the Europeans, who Israelis love to be skeptical of as their major trading partner in a situation where Israel's prosperity that enables it to maybe build more munitions is totally dependent on an export-oriented economy. It's surrounded by hundreds of millions of Arabs and Muslims.
Whose respect we have increasingly gained over the course of the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, they don't want to be at war with them constantly. And
they don't want to be at war with us anymore either. That's the good news, that we have shown them what a horrible idea it is.
I can tell you I live in the Arab world, and it's a bit more complicated than that. But the reality is that Israel, with 10 million people, that has upset pretty much the entire planet almost with its policies in the West Bank in particular, Judea and Samaria, needs allies. And the idea of a Sparta like Israel, which Netanyahu at some point, in a weird failure of political understanding, floated and then went away from, or backed away from, is infantile. Israel cannot pursue war with far larger countries, surrounded on all sides, without the assistance of the U.S. So you could say that this means it's a banana republic. You can also say that Israel has always succeeded.
I was being provocative. I know.
No, but of course I understand. by creating support around the world, and to mock and deride that as somehow unnecessary and a sign of weakness is frankly infantile. Now, you know, should Israel be forced to do domestic policies because America, you know, has some whim or other? Probably not. But these fronts of which you speak are outside Israel's borders. Countries don't have autonomy and sovereignty to do what they want outside their borders. It generally helps to be in a coalition, to have global support, and of course, other than endless belief in God to save your problems, cognizance of the fact that Israel's military would run out of spare parts within weeks for action on any of these fronts without America is advisable. And the actions of this government in particular, and we're staying away from politics here, mostly in this discussion, have caused so much reputational damage. The complete abject failure of public diplomacy to explain what Israel is trying to achieve, to explain, for example, that Israel has no territorial ambition in Lebanon, which everyone seems to think Israel does, has been such that the support for Israel in America also is eroding to the point of an international emergency. And at this point, instead of trying to build coalitions, explain what you're doing, be reasonable, take other people's interests into account, to simply say we're going to do what you want is not a strategic path.
Well, I want to narrow it down, specifically some of the comments that Dan made, but about Judea and Samaria, in effect. Because, as we also spoke about before the broadcast, you know, I'm a settler. I lived for most of my adult life in a settlement in Judea and Samaria. I've been visiting the settlements since the 1970s. I'm a big supporter. Having said that, I am embarrassed by some of the things that go on in Judea and Samaria, especially in recent years, as far as the lawlessness, the anarchy that's taking place by a small group of extremists. I never would call them settlers. They're extremists, but they're not being brought under control. That does terrible damage to the entire enterprise of settlement, don't you think?
I want to try to bring what you're saying. I want to scoop in a little bit of what Dan just said before I really answer that question, which is to say that there might be railing again, you know, there might be a very successful disinformation campaign about Israel that is being run by our enemies, that is focused on various populations, including you, including people in Europe, et cetera.
By the way, there is for sure.
Wait, okay, yeah, there is. Okay, there is a disinformation campaign, and so people have, you know, these concepts about Israel. At the same time, the stronger we get, the more acceptance we get, and it might not be a big red heart, but it is respect and the understanding that Israel is here to stay and that we should not mess with them. And that is something that cannot be sneezed at. And with all your discussion about how Europe feels for us, We just did great in Eurovision. We got huge number of votes by popular votes. There is a disparity between what's going on in the ivory towers and how they're analyzing things and how the people are feeling about Israel. There is a huge undercurrent of support for Israel and an understanding around the world that if other countries don't start to act like us and take charge of our land and make sure that people understand who's boss around here, that they're going to be swallowed up by certain entities. So there are people watching us and understanding that it is not necessarily such a bad thing to be tough, be strong, and do what you got to do.
So they respect and fear, perhaps.
With that, I would like to discuss what you were saying about Judea and Samaria.
Yep.
Which is to say two things about this population that you're talking about. On the one hand, people who attack innocent people should be condemned. Wherever they are, wherever they're doing it, that is bad. Attacking innocent people, bad. Okay? So people doing things that are illegal, those people should be taken in by the police and interrogated and be treated like criminals. However, to discuss what's going on in Judea and Samaria and then swoosh over to a small group of people.
But I said.
Barry, you did. But I just want to highlight that is horribly mistaken. And you will not find me apologizing for the hundreds of thousands of faithful, committed, fearless, some of the greatest Zionists in our country today, some of the firmest believers who are ready to do whatever it takes to hold on to our land. We have people who are grabbing hilltops in Judea and Samaria. You know, those people used to be grabbing hilltops around here, around this studio. Now it's all nice and settled, and everyone's happy, and there's blue and white parking, and
we have a
everywhere.
sovereign nation.
How did that happen? There were people who decided that they're going to be strong and they're going to claim the land of Israel for the Jewish people.
Nevertheless, we have laws today.
Okay, and we have laws in Judea and Samaria, and the overwhelming majority of people, including people on hilltops, are working very closely with local city councils and are like fully accepted, working with the army, and everything is going very, very kosher. There is a situation in Judea and Samaria. There is a situation, which is that the same disinformation campaign that is calling Israel a genocider is calling the Hilltops people horrible, violent criminals. When most of the time, the overwhelming majority of the time that you see anything that remotely resembles violence is either A, committed by Arabs against Jews, or B, committed against by Jews against Arabs.
We're down to 2 minutes, and I have to give Dan a chance to respond. Dan, we're under 2 minutes. Go.
So the defense always is, look, a lot of settlers are so nice. That's not the point.
We're much more than nice. I don't want us to be minimalized like that. We're not nice.
Well,
we are brave, we are strong, we are citizens of this country, and we're doing a valuable service to the rest of this
country, living outside the borders of this country with full rights of citizens, surrounded by a 5 times greater population that has no rights of citizenship in Israel, and the municipal rights of the Palestinian Authority are a bit of a joke. So this is an undemocratic situation in West Bank that is completely unacceptable and is a disgrace to the Jewish state.
So you can advocate for Palestinian rights if you want, but I'm here to advocate for the rights of the Jewish people in the land.
You know what? I'm actually also here as an analyst trying to make head or tails of a complex situation, not advocate for anyone. I will advocate against a minority, whatever minority they may be, of Jews in the West Bank doing crimes that very often veer into terrorism. And you don't have to call them settlers, but you must understand that these are crimes. They are grabbing hilltops, and you compare this to the Zionist effort to buy land and to build a democratic country that will be a light unto the nations.
I absolutely compare it.
Well, I can't.
These people should be recognized by the Knesset.
These people are doing it through violence,
people of Israel.
And
what do you know about the people of the hilltops?
They're
you don't know
terrorizing.
anything about the people of the hilltops,
May I complete the sentence?
and you're ready to smear their good name.
Quite a bit.
You're ready to smear their good name, but you actually have no idea.
Youth that sit there and grab a hilltop, sit with a gun, threaten the Palestinians, steal their land, run over their sheep, and know that they're doing this with the implicit.
A huge group of people.
There's no way to talk this way, Malkah. Please stop. They're doing it with the implicit support of the Israeli military that refuses to take action against them. None of them have been prosecuted.
Why do you think that is?
And their purpose, by the way, is to drive the Palestinians into more terrorism so that a huge Armageddon-like war will happen. and to defend
Do you
them
hear yourself?
because many
do you
settlers,
hear yourself saying that
because
Jews are
many
trying to drive Arabs to violence? Do you
There
hear
is
yourself?
no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And the extremists.
That's crazy.
The extremists who are doing this, they are terrorists. And the government's refusal to take any action against them is part of the reputational damage that Israel has absorbed. And you are right that there is a very successful and very nefarious and mendacious campaign against Israel. And the propaganda against Israel is terrible. But here you're handing your enemies on a platter much more weapons than they could ever have dreamed
You're just
of.
a pawn of the disinformation campaign.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting final part of our broadcast, I have to say.
All right, Malkah, that was stellar. You let him have it, but you did it with love and
Yes.
with care about Jewish rights,
Right.
And about
with
pushing
total
back.
ruthlessness.
That's right. Total Ruthlessness is our T-shirt name. Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Speaking of total ruthlessness, we are just passionate about building the land of Israel. Join us at buildisrael.com. Do you like that name?
I love it.
Buildisrael.com?
Yeah, I mean, that's what most of the people who are watching the show want to do.
That's right. We want to build Israel. That's right. We have an audience, and our audience is pro-Israel, and not just pro-Israel, but Zionistic in the sense that we're going to build it together.
Right, and they want to be part of the great, glorious vision that they know is way above and beyond politics and policy and all this stuff, all that stuff being important, but they understand that what we're doing here is way bigger than that.
That's right. We're doing something amazing and godly and awesome. And amazingly, we can actually be part of it. We could succumb to all the hate out there, or we can be part of what we're doing here at Yishai Fleisher TV. And that is, wow, like making it happen on the ground and being reborn in this land.
Right.
And you're a part of it. It's a global movement for awesomeness. BuildIsrael.com or buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Malkah Fleisher, great job on ILTV. Thanks for pushing the truth out there and giving the people strength.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
my
folks. God
pleasure.
bless you wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected, and shalom.